The night before my wedding, I got accidentally added to a group chat by my fiancée's bridesmaid. I opened it, and my stomach sank. Her message read, "Don't worry, I'll still sneak away with my ex before the honeymoon." I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. I just sat there, frozen, letting it sink in. By the next morning, she'd find out exactly why her groom didn't show up. It was 11 p.m., the night before the biggest day of my life. I should have been trying to relax, maybe having a quiet drink with my brother, letting the nerves settle. Instead, I was perched on the edge of a plush hotel bed, staring at my phone, watching the life I'd imagined go up in flames in real time. The weirdest part? I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt clarity. Let me back up. I'm Marcus, 35, and I run a catering company. I spend my days orchestrating other people's perfect moments. Stressful? Sure. But I'm good at it. For the last 3 years, the big day I was planning wasn't for anyone else. It was mine. My fiancée, Samantha, seemed like the perfect girl next door, sweet, beautiful, the kind of woman you brag about to your mom. At least, that's who I thought she was. But over the past year, a nagging feeling had been growing. There was something off. And it had a name, Jordan. Her ex. The one that got away, according to her story. Samantha insisted he was ancient history, that she'd long moved on. Yet somehow, his name kept surfacing. I'm not a jealous guy, but I'm not blind either. The way her eyes would light up when she mentioned him, the defensiveness when I asked about him, it screamed warning signs. About 6 months ago, I confronted her. I told her I couldn't spend my life with someone still carrying feelings for an ex. I told her it was disrespectful, and if she wasn't fully committed, we needed to end things. She cried, begged me to believe her, swore that I was the only one she wanted. She promised she'd never talk to him again. And, against my gut, I chose to believe her. Back to the hotel. We'd booked the entire floor for the wedding party. I was holed up in my suite. She and the bridesmaids were just down the hall. Then my phone buzzed. I'd been added to a group chat called Sam's Bride Tribe. I figured it was a simple mistake. One of her friends probably hit the wrong button. I was about to leave when the messages started pouring in. I could see the entire chat history. My blood ran ice cold. It was a script for my own humiliation. Her friends asked if she was nervous, if she was ready. Mia, her maid of honor, typed, "Are you sure you're ready to be tied down to Mr. Safe and Stable forever? Last chance to run." Then came Samantha's reply, "My sweet, loving fiancé, the wedding is just a formality. The party is going to be epic, and he's paying for all of it, lol. Don't worry, I'll still sneak away with Jordan for a real celebration before the honeymoon." I stared at that message, unable to blink. He's paying for all of it, lol. A real celebration. Another bridesmaid asked, "Just for one night?" Samantha shot back immediately, "One night for now. He's clueless. I can do it whenever I want. Marcus will never know. He's too in love with me to ever question anything." I read it again. And again. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was awakened. All the little doubts, all the subtle red flags, they snapped into sharp, painful focus. This wasn't a case of cold feet. This was a meticulously calculated long game. I wasn't her partner. I was her paycheck. Her steady, boring provider while she plotted secret nights with her ex. I didn't leave the chat. I didn't type a word. I silenced my phone, took a screenshot of every message, and started plotting. My wedding was still happening the next day. She was about to get the show of a lifetime, but she wouldn't be the star. She was about to be the punchline. The next morning, I woke up with a strange, almost eerie sense of calm. My mind was razor sharp. I knew exactly what had to happen. My brother, my best man, walked into my suite around 8 a.m., and the second he saw me, he knew something was off. "You okay, man?" "You look strangely calm," he said, raising an eyebrow. "I'm better than okay," I said, sliding my phone across the table. The screenshot stared back at him like a loaded gun. As he scrolled, his face darkened, each word sinking heavier than the last. When he finally looked up, his voice shaky, "We're calling this off, right?" "Nope," I said, slow and deliberate, a grin creeping across my face. "We're going through with it, but we're rewriting the whole script. I need you for this." The plan was brutal in its simplicity. Samantha wanted a fairy tale. I was about to give her a psychological thriller with a twist ending she'd never see coming. First, step 1, get Jordan, her ex, to walk into our wedding. I fired off a text using a burner app, spoofing Samantha's number. "I can't do this, Jordan. I'm making a huge mistake. I'm at the chapel. Please, just come. I'll leave with you. I love you." Cheesy. Absolutely. Perfect. You bet. It was exactly the kind of bait he'd swallow whole. Next, I called the AV company handling the reception. Thanks to my connections, I had the owner on speed dial. "I have a last-minute surprise for the bride," I said. "A special slideshow. I'll send the file, project it on the big screen behind the altar during my groom's speech. No questions." "Got it," he said. Then came the performance. I slipped into my tux, took staged photos with my groomsmen, greeted arriving guests with the perfect smile. Samantha, still blissfully unaware, was probably texting her bridesmaids about the real celebration to come. The ceremony began. I stood at the altar, heart steady, watching Samantha glide down the aisle. She was breathtaking, a flawless illusion. She took my hand, eyes sparkling with hope. I almost felt a twinge of sympathy. Almost. Then the vows. The officiant turned to me. "Do you, Marcus, take Samantha to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I drew in a deep breath. I looked at her hopeful face, then at our friends and family, and then my eyes locked on the back of the chapel. A man in a leather jacket had just slipped in. Jordan. He was here. I turned back to the officiant. "No," I said, voice calm, unflinching. "I don't." A collective gasp tore through the crowd. Samantha's radiant smile crumbled, replaced by horror. "In fact," I continued, grabbing the officiant's microphone, "there are a few things everyone here needs to know." I pointed to the back. "Jordan, glad you could make it. Samantha, I'm sure you're thrilled." All eyes swung to him. Jordan looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "You see, everyone," I said, voice booming, "last night I was accidentally added to the bridal party's group chat. And what I discovered was educational, to say the least. I learned that my perfect fiancée was planning a secret celebration with her ex-boyfriend, Jordan, before our honeymoon. I also learned I am apparently so clueless she thinks she can do it whenever she wants, and I'd never know." I glanced at her bridesmaids. Heads down, frozen in shame. But I'm a visual learner. So I nodded to the AV booth. The screen behind the altar, once filled with tasteful floral imagery, flickered to life. There it was, giant, in high-definition glory, the entire group chat, Samantha's words for the world to see, "He's paying for all of it, LOL. I'll still sneak away with Jordan." The chapel went utterly silent. Then came the gasps. Samantha's father, a mountain of a man, rose, face purple with fury. Samantha herself was a vision of chaos, tears, shock, horror, the mask of perfection shattered completely. Her flawless movie had just turned into a disaster epic. "So," I announced, voice steady, "the wedding is off. But the $150,000 party? That is very much on." Please, everyone, enjoy the food, the open bar, and the band. I'd like to dedicate the first song to my ex-fiancée. It's called Liar. I dropped the mic, turned, and walked down the aisle, past a sea of stunned faces. My brother and groomsmen fell in line behind me. The first notes of the song played, the sweetest sound I'd ever heard, freedom. By all accounts, the chapel scene behind me was pure chaos. Jordan. He bolted the instant everyone's attention was on the screen. Samantha's perfect plan had just imploded spectacularly. Smart move. Samantha's father started screaming, but not at me. He was yelling at her. The bridesmaids were in tears. The scene was absolute chaos. I didn't even notice. I went straight to the reception hall, in another part of the estate, and everything was ready. My catering staff, already prepped thanks to my early warning that morning, opened the bar, started passing trays of appetizers, and the band, a group of guys I've worked with for years, kicked into a set of upbeat, celebratory music. Guests began trickling in, their jaws practically on the floor. Shocked. Sure. But impressed too. My dad pulled me into a hug that nearly broke my ribs. "That's my boy," he said, and I felt a surge of vindication. About 30 minutes into what was quickly becoming my freedom party, the doors to the reception hall burst open. Samantha appeared, flanked by her parents. Her veil was gone, her makeup smudged, her whole face a mess. Her father looked like he wanted to crush someone with his bare hands. "You," he bellowed, pointing at me. "You have humiliated my daughter. You have humiliated my family. I will sue you for everything you have." I took a slow sip of my whiskey. "No, you won't," I said, calm as a monk. "Because if you try, the first thing my lawyer will do is submit sworn testimony from every single bridesmaid about their conversation last night. Not to mention the screenshots, which I've already sent him. Your daughter wasn't humiliated. She was exposed. There's a difference." Her mother jumped in, voice trembling with fury. "How could you be so cruel, Marcus? After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me?" I laughed, a dry, cutting laugh. "I paid for this. Every flower, every chair, every drop of champagne your daughter is about to drink, this entire event was funded by the clueless guy she was planning to cheat on. So, please, enjoy the party." Samantha finally found her voice, tears streaming down her face. "It was a mistake, Marcus. I was scared. I didn't mean it." "You meant every word," I said, my voice turning cold as ice. "The lull at the end of 'he's paying for all of it,' that sealed it. You didn't make a mistake. You made a plan. And your plan failed." I gestured toward the crowd. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have about 300 guests who are here to celebrate my narrow escape." Two very large men, part of the extra security I'd hired as part of my contingency plan, politely but firmly escorted Samantha and her parents out of the reception hall. And then the party exploded. It was the best, most expensive breakup party in history. We ate the finest food, drank the top-shelf liquor, and danced like the night would never end, until 2 a.m., when the estate finally quieted down. The next day, the cleanup began. My lawyer sent a formal letter to Samantha and her family, including a detailed invoice for her share of all non-refundable wedding costs, just over $75,000. The letter also reminded them of my half of the substantial cancellation fee and made it clear that refusal to pay would land the matter in civil court, where her fraudulent intent to marry would be laid bare. Her father paid the bill within a week. No note. Nothing. Fast forward 6 months, the dust has settled. The story of our wedding has become legendary in town. Everyone has their version, but the screenshots of that group chat, once leaked, kept the truth crystal clear. From what I hear, Samantha's life is a complete mess. And me? I'm still enjoying my freedom, and laughing every time someone asks about the wildest wedding ever. Her reputation. Completely shredded. Her family, humiliated beyond belief, apparently put her on an impossibly short leash. She had to get a real job, no more fantasy of lounging through life on the wealth she thought she'd secured with me. And her friends, the bridesmaids who had eagerly helped orchestrate her deceit, weren't spared. Mia, the maid of honor, got dumped by her own fiancé after he found out what she'd done. Apparently, he decided he didn't want to marry a woman whose idea of friendship was to encourage betrayal. I saw Samantha once, a few weeks ago, sitting alone in a coffee shop. She stared into her cup like it held the answers to a life she'd already ruined. The confident, sparkling party girl everyone knew was gone. She looked small, fragile, defeated. When her eyes caught mine, there was a flicker of panic, and then she looked away, cheeks flaming, hopefully with shame. I didn't linger. I grabbed my coffee and walked out, leaving her to whatever scraps of dignity remained. The ultimate revenge wasn't the public humiliation. It wasn't the money, the lawsuit threat, or even the chaos of that $150,000 spectacle. It was this, revealing the truth. She had built her life on lies, manipulation, and a foundation of deceit. All I did was knock out the main support beam. The rest? It crumbled spectacularly on its own. Now, I'm with someone real. Someone who laughs with me, not at me. Someone who understands that a relationship is a partnership, not a heist. Samantha wanted a movie. She wanted to be the romantic heroine, torn between two loves, the object of everyone's admiration. But she misread the script entirely. She wasn't the heroine. She was the villain. And in my story, villains don't get happy endings. They get exactly what they deserve, and nothing more.